So it looks like we might have some deck lists coming up for us for the next round. We're looking at, wow. Oh, man. Now, this is a doozy. Abzan Nixfit.
Okay, so this is a Rector deck. We have both Academy Rector and Arena Rector. We have ways to sacrifice them, which is what you want to do. We have Cabal Therapy, and I assume we have Phyrexian Tower. Yeah, we do. And then we have some big payoffs. We have Ugin the Spirit Dragon, probably not seen in too many other Legacy decks. We actually have 2 copies of it, and then
whoa, Joe! We're just gonna not talk about this. The curse package, Curse of Misfortunes in the deck.
My eyes are progressing through the list. Give me a second here. We do have an Omniscience to tutor for. We have Overwhelming Splendor, which maybe we can pop that up because I believe that just kind of like neuters the opponent's whole board. Is that right?
Yeah, it makes all the creatures 1/1s and prevents activated abilities unless they are mana abilities, I believe, and loyalty abilities. Okay.
And then, yeah, we have Curse of Misfortunes. I don't even remember what this card is.
Oh, this one is nasty, Joe. I had this. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a story. It's a quick story. Last I was playing this week, my opponent went turn 1 Ancient Tomb, Chrome Mox, Show and Tell, and they put Curse of Misfortunes into play, targeting me. So every turn, I had a curse from their deck get tutored up for free and attached to myself. And guess what? Overwhelming Splendor, it's a curse. Curse of Death's Hold, it's a curse. Curse of Exhaustion, also a curse. So this is kind of one of the additional engines in the deck, and it's reasonably castable too at 5 mana. It's able to search all your big mana enchantments to just take over the game.
Yeah, so this is the value of having someone that's a current Legacy expert on the show, because I knew these cards existed, but I hadn't seen this particular builder before. I actually looked at an Arena deck, a Rector deck, in preparation for this, but it did not have that package in it, so that's pretty neat. Playing against Brian Cole with Sultai Hogak. So this is a deck that's very fast. It's kind of brutal. All its creatures kind of contribute to casting Hogak either from hand to the graveyard. We have a lot of power that can be put on the board, which can either win through attacking. We also have Altar of Dementia, so we have a backup plan of winning through decking the opponent. So this is a deck that can be fairly hard to deal with in game 1, but is vulnerable to some sideboard cards.
Yeah, it's modern players are no stranger to the Altar of Dementia Hogak combination. That is terrorizing, and in Legacy, it's no different. So it looks like we're going to see a 7-card hand from the Nixfit side. We've got Thoughtseize, Therapy, and Veteran Explorer, and I feel like you can't ask for anything more than that.
Yeah, this looks like a great hand. We're going to hit on our Therapy too, because we're going to have to pave the way with the Thoughtseize first. We are going second, and we have Fill the Dead too. So I didn't even notice that on the deck list. This match is going to be pretty furious, especially game 1.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested to see whether or not we can assemble our combo. Overwhelming Splendor is going to be pretty good in this matchup. It's going to shut down that Altar of Dementia, but we need to be able to get it into play first, and to do that, we need to get a couple more creatures. If we draw a Rector here, we are going to need a sack outlet for that. And as soon as I say that, that's amazing that we just drew it off the top. Crop Rotation can pick up Phyrexian Tower to sacrifice any of our creatures and generate obscene amounts of mana.
So now, speaking as someone who hasn't played with this deck before, I'm somewhat astonished we didn't lead off on Thoughtseize.
Yeah, after seeing the careful study, discard Vengevine and Bloodghast, I mean, that's like just the way to say that the jig is up. I'm playing Hogak, also open deck lists. Right. I think the Nixfit player might be trying to just be proactive and say like, hey, I want to race here. This is how I'm going to just do better than you are. I don't know.
If we want Thoughtseize into turn 2, explore Therapy, that would have been okay. I assume there's a Bujugabog in the deck list, although I can't check now. So that Crop Rotation is live as a graveyard hate, but that's too late, I think. And the business is here. And,
this is turn 2?
Yeah.
What is that? 13? There's a bunch of power in play. Yeah, it's so much that I can't even count up to it. So
this is a matchup I had to prepare for at the Players' Championship last December for Legacy. I did play against it. And it is a very scary deck in game 1.
Yeah. Good news is, though, that as scary as an 8/8 Trampler is, Hogak is actually a legend. So you didn't have this in Modern, but Caracas can put that Hogak straight back into the Hogak player's hand.
Yeah, and we saw the no attack there from the Vengevine, wanting to not ramp the Veteran Explorer into a couple lands. But there are going to be ways to get rid of it. However, if Caracas is forced to be played here, then the Explorer is going to be stuck on the board for at least another turn.
Now, there was one card that I think we may have seen in the deck list. I wonder if there is a copy of Tabernacle in the Nyx Fit deck. That would be really good at stymieing the Hogak deck's development.
That would be good. Maybe, Master Norman, maybe if we can jump to the Nyx Fit deck list real quick and check out the lands that are available for crop rotation in 2 or 4.
I'm so sorry. I just realized this. It's not in the main deck because it's in the sideboard.
There's a Bajuga Bog in the main deck. And you're right, the Tabernacle sideboard, Bajuga Bog main. Okay, we can go back to the match. So that's going to be, we definitely could have another alternative. So we're talking a couple times today about how turn 1 matters so much in Legacy.
Yeah.
We had the option of Thought Seizing. We did play Veteran Explorer. We could have kept up crop rotation for Bajuga Bog. And given how things played out, I feel like we went with maybe the worst option.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, we still do have live top decks, right? So I mentioned that the Tabernacle was in the sideboard, and for an explicit reason too. This Nyx Fit list is actually playing 4 main deck copies of Living Wish, which means that you can actually access this Tabernacle in game 1. Right. What's kind of interesting is that I'm not sure if this is good or bad, but the Veteran Explorer did sort of stonewall the Vengevine for a single turn, which was pretty powerful. We need to still get some pretty solid top decks, though, in order to, have a fighting chance this game, because there's a lot of power and toughness in play, and unless we draw something really good here, we might be struggling to keep up. Yeah,
the Nyx Fit deck is definitely benefiting from getting a turn off from the Vengevine attacking here, as if the hand was revealed, I mean, there's nothing to ramp into, so the attack would have come in last turn, but now we're going to see the block. So the Explorer will not die, as eventually
powerful
by the Carrying Feeder, because there's no reason not to. It likely can return from the graveyard, no problem. And so we'll delay another turn with a Veteran Explorer stuck in play, which is a weird thing to say, but this is a creature that you don't play with the intention of actually having it on the board.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The intention is to get it in the graveyard to get those lands into play when the Veteran Explorer dies. Now, unfortunately, the Hogak player doesn't realize this, doesn't know this, but we've got copies of Phyrexian Tower and Cabal Therapy in our hand, which means if we want that Explorer in the graveyard, we don't need help from our enemy's creatures. So Veteran Explorer says, when it dies, each player may search up to 2 basic lands and put them into the battlefield. And these basic lands come into play untapped. And Joe, I think we just did it. I think we just found exactly what we needed here to pull ahead.
And we have the mana to cast it. I believe we can go 1, 2. Yeah, we can even lead with Thoughtseize first if we want to. Are we going to have 6 mana? Yeah, we are.
Probably don't need to Thoughtseize since we know, open deck lists, we know that there isn't going to be any sort of counter magic with the Hogak in hand, especially.
Yeah, we know 1 2 cards. So yeah, are we going to be searching up Overwhelming Splendor to start with? Do we trigger on immediately or just on upkeep?
It's going to be on upkeep, so we get 1 turn to bash in for a lot of damage here. But the Vengevine being in the graveyard is kind of a big deal here.
Yeah, that definitely matters. So we'll see. It's a curse card. This is the first time I have ever seen.
Yeah, I know, this is pretty exciting. This is bringing back traumatic flashbacks to when I got targeted with this card. I thought I had a chance. I did not, Joe. I wasn't over my head.
I mean, I remember playing against this back when they used to have stuff like Dovescape, and that was But once in a while you could beat that. This is going to be tough. We have how much power on the board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not enough. We have 6. We can get a few more by adding creatures and then sacrificing the Carrying Feeder. But this, I suppose if we drew, we have the Bajuga Bog available on crop rotation. Okay, I guess we're covered. I was going to say we could Thoughtseize maybe to try to look for Altar Dementia, because that's a way we actually could still lose.
Yeah. So I think if we get a couple turns in with the curse in play, what we'll probably do first is get Overwhelming Splendor to reduce the damage that we actually doesn't even reduce the damage by that much, but it'll turn off, any of the abilities. So the carrion feeder gets shut down. And then we can get Curse of, what is it, Death's Hold to give all the 1/1 creatures -1/-1.
Mhm.
The carrion feeder is still going to stick around because it's going to get a bunch of +1/+1 counters.
Yeah.
But that is certainly a lot less worse than, whatever else we could be dealing with.
Yeah, and eventually, I mean, with 2 more land drops, with the Field of Dead will turn on, and then we can chump block the carrion feeder, I suppose.
Yeah.
This is looking very good for the next side. I'm a little I tend to nitpick players too much.
Yeah.
Did that propagation for Bojuka Bog need to happen when it did? Like, I feel like we could have passed the turn sitting.
Yeah, we could have maybe done that. I agree. Get a little bit of that F6 value in while we can. But if we did it in response to the Vengevine activate, I guess doing it now is actually pretty good because you stop the Hogak from coming into play if you really want to.
Maybe, but we have Stitcher Supplier on the board.
Mm-hmm.
That's something where more cards can go into the graveyard off of that.
Yeah.
Possibly we could have tried to catch those cards.
Yeah.
Because based on everything else going on, like if a Hogak actually makes it into play, I don't know that we care very much.
Because it's going to become a 1/1, a legendary 1/1, in fact, right? Yeah. So it's a good point.
So let's see. How is this going to play out? I imagine the way this curse is going to work is the enchantment's just going to appear in play. It's not going to be responded to.
Yep.
So whether we get there is the altar.
Oh my! Wait.
See, this is what I was a little concerned about. That we conceivably could die here, or at least this gives our opponent the best chance. And when I say opponent, for viewers, I'm speaking as the perspective that we're watching from. So when I say opponent, I mean the altar Hogak deck. If we sack the Stitcher Supplier, I mean it's probably unlikely we lose here, but I feel like we've given our opponent a sliver of a chance that we maybe didn't need to.
Mm-hmm. I actually think there's a chance that we're just dead here because we're going to get to put the Hogak into play now and then sack the Hogak. So we're going to look at a lot of cards. What are the cards that we're trying to hit here, from the Hogak side to sort of full combo?
Well, we need another Hogak would be great. Hitting that Vengevine there is nice before we cast a second creature. Bridge from Below's help. Bridge from Below's help a lot. But yeah, so imagine we're going to dump in Hogak here. We'll sacrifice the Hogak on ourselves. If we can find a bridge or we can find more creatures, then we can recast the Hogak, and then it kind of cycles through itself.
Yeah. Okay. And then after that, you just target your opponent a bunch while cycling through, and then
you get to a point where it's nearly a loop. It's not technically a loop. You can't go forever, but you can go enough where you need a spot where you can mill more cards than you're spending, and then you can get enough of a buffer by milling yourself, and then you go after the opponent's deck. Even weirdly enough, even if we can't all the way combo, if we can mill some of the relevant enchantments and prevent the curse from getting them, that might accomplish something.
I'm going to ask you the tough questions, Joe. The questions that nobody else is willing to ask. Hogak versus Battle of Wits. Who wins?
Oh man, I think Hogak's like, screw the mill plan. Let's just kill you with damage.
With 1/1s and 2/1s and carrion feeders. I see it. I definitely do see it.
All right, so here is the Hogak. We're empty-handed.
But we can mill, what is it, equal to the creature's power, right? So we'll mill another 8 cards?
Yeah, we can do more than that because we can sacrifice the Dried Arbor and the Bloodghast as well.
Okay, yeah.
So,
and if we can get another creature into play, like if we can cast this Hogak one more time, then the Vengevine will come back too, right?
Correct. Yeah. This is looking a little tough. We probably need to find Bridge from Below because we need to find an untapped green or black creature, and I don't know if that's going to happen without.
Yeah. I think in this situation, though, if you're in the Hogak side, you have to go for it because you know that your opponent's deck has Overwhelming Splendor in it.
Right.
Which means that we'll shut down that Overwhelming Splendor will shut off the Altar of Dementia, preventing any future combos. So you just got to take the best shot that you got here, and Bridge from Below is a good hit.
Finding Bridge is good. I'm really surprised that we didn't sacrifice Hogak first, because that gives us the best chance of hitting Bridge before sacrificing our last creature.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll be able to cobble something together here. So the bridge gives us a zombie. Then we can recast the Hogak.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to harp on it too much, but yeah, if the Hogak had been sacrificed first, we would have 2 zombies instead of 1. Because we have the other 2 creatures left to go. But either way, this will get us when we can cast the Hogak, which will get us the Vengevine.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can sacrifice the Carrion Feeder and the zombie, which will get us another zombie. We're getting there.
I think it's actually locked now, right? Because we hit a second Hogak. So we have Hogak and then a zombie that comes from bridge from below every time we sack the Hogak to recast the other Hogak, which then, that should be the full loop, I think.
I think we are basically achieving the loop. Now, whether there's enough cards left in the deck to finish them, there probably are. There's 2 Vengevines that's
okay. Yeah. And this is definitely, the writing on the wall here. So
yeah, I'm not capable of saying that game was lost by crop rotating early, but it made it harder.
Yeah, I wonder what we're going to see in going from pre-board to post-board. I did notice a couple copies of Leyline of the Void in the Nyx Fit decks, in the sideboard for the Nyx Fit deck. So those would definitely come in very good at shutting down Hogak from being cast very easily. Also really good against Altar of Dementia and just all the graveyard synergies in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the Leylines are going to be good. They would actually be good on both sides.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then looks like there's a copy of Containment Priest as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, we have a Living Wish sideboard, so some of these creatures that seem appealing may stay in the sideboard as wish targets. I'm not familiar with how exactly the deck is going to generally sideboard, but I imagine because the Rector's staying in the board, the Wish is probably staying in the main, so the Priest probably stays in the board also. But we have Leylines to bring in. Do we want anything else?
We might potentially want Force of Vigor based on what the the opponent's sideboard looks like.
Let's go ahead and see their side. But yeah, you feel free to call them an enemy. I mean, I am certainly someone who sits down to play from somebody, and I'm always like, oh, I'm going to destroy this person. We can be friends later on, but we are enemies now.
Oh yeah, it's Cutthroat. That's Magic the Gathering. But looking at the sideboard here, what do you think is going to come in?
All right, let's see. So we're gonna have ley lines just like you do on their side. We gotta have answers to ley lines, so we gotta have Force of Vigors. We might see the same cards come in on both sides.
Oh, that'd be hilarious, actually.
Yeah, I think that easily. As far as what's coming out, that's something that you would need experience with, and I think this is common to a lot of decks in a lot of different formats. It's very easy to look at a sideboard and say, these are the cards you want to bring in. It's much harder to say, this is what you don't need. Can you trim out can you take out whole cards? You have to trim from like one of 5 different cards to fit stuff in. That's something that I think really shows more experienced players are confident sideboarding out.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we know that our opponent is going to be bringing in Leyline of the Voids. We know they're going to aggressively mulligan for it because it is their primary piece of graveyard hate. Maybe the combo, we shouldn't go all in on it. So Altar of Dimension is a card that we could maybe shave a couple copies of until we get a better idea of how our opponent exactly has sideboarded. Otherwise, I wonder if post board just the beatdown plan is going to be good enough with your aggro 2/1s and 1/1s and whatnot.
Yeah, if based on that line of reasoning, then you could you could take some altars. You might also take out Hedron Crabs, which are also basically worthless without against Leyline. I mean, okay, so we'll see how this plays out. That was a pretty exciting game 1.
That was. I mean, honestly, having the curse in play, it kind of just shows Legacy is both a very exciting format, but also a very punishing format. We needed one more turn to get the curse online. We didn't get there. Yeah. But this 7 looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we have. Our primary cards for both sides is Leyline and ways to deal with Leyline, and we have both. Yeah.
And it looks like the Hogak player has mulliganed to 6 cards here, maybe looking for that Leyline of the Void they boarded in.
Mm-hmm. Hogak is a decks like that, but Hogak in particular is going to mulligan frequently. This is this deck that probably may average actually less than 6 cards a hand. I don't know if I go that far, but it's certainly going to be less than the Nyx Fit deck. So here we have no Leyline on the other side, and which means Nyx Fit is just almost by virtue of having Leyline at an advantage here, regardless of what's in the other hand.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Living Wish is also going to be really good here too. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a copy of Phyrexian Tower that we need to pick up from the sideboard to just, turn on the Veteran Explorer whenever we want. We're still going to we're in the same situation as last time though, where we're still going to need a way to, leverage the mana that we're generating. So we'll have to see what the top of our deck provides for us here. I wouldn't be surprised either if the Hogak component was also sort of just like next leveling. Like I know, like I remember hearing whisperings like back when Hogak was taking over Modern, that people would do crazy sideboarding things, like where you would either like not board in the Force of Vigors and the ley lines or things like that, So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the Hogak player was like, all right, I know my opponent's going to bring in Leyline of the Void. Let's see if we can mulligan into a Force of Vigor, and then we could just try to kill our opponent instead of slowing them down.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely the Hogak deck. Well, okay, I don't want to say that for sure. I was going to say definitely the Hogak deck is faster, but that may not even be true.
Yeah, with the Phyrexian Tower giving you so much mana. That's like 1, 2, 3, 4 mana this turn already. Yeah,
so maybe you could just, like you're saying, go for the defensive stuff, go for the their sideboard, but not worry about their anti-main deck. So bring in forces, but not ley lines. That's possible.
Yeah, and drawing the Phyrexian Tower is really good here because now you can pick up one of the Rectors potentially instead of having to get the Phyrexian Tower, which means that you'll be able to turn your combo on as soon as turn 3. I mean, this is Legacy, the format, ladies and gentlemen. This is the kind of degenerate, exciting, thrilling things that we get to see, and I want to see an Ugin come into play on turn 3, just one time, please.
That would be cool. I don't think you're going to see it this time, but that would be cool. And so you can see when the Wish resolved some of the remaining sideboard, and it looks like just ley lines and the forces came in. It looked like all the other 2 targets stayed in the board.
Okay, including the Containment Priest.
Containment Priest was still on the sideboard. Yeah.
Okay, that's a heads-up observation. Yeah, I mean, one downside of playing the Living Wish here is that your opponent knows that the Arena Rector is in their hand. So, the Hogak deck does play Cabal Therapy. So if these Careful Studies are able to find one of the Cabal Therapies, then, I mean, it's just easy pickings to just get rid of the Arena Rector right here, right now. Let's see what happens here. Are we going to fetch here or... Oh, darn. Okay, I was going to let us have our fun one time, but Verdant Catacombs going to the graveyard, fetching up a Bayou, and on the stack we're about to see...
Yep, therapy.
Yeah.
Okay. Not much really left over here.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not the worst, right? Because think about it, right? This Leyline of the Void has done so much damage to the Hogak deck's graveyard. All of these cards that, have been carefully studied away are in the exile zone, which means that Vengevine not coming back. Makes you wonder how many resources does the Hogak deck need to actually combo off properly? Plus, remember, oh wow, and that is an incredible top deck too, right?
It's a good draw. Yeah, no, you're right. The Hogak deck at this point with the Leyline on the board, it's probably just thinking I gotta put some garbage out there and just attack for the win. Which, when that therapy resolved, you think to yourself maybe that's possible. Now that there's another Living Wish, that is going to be harder. So we're going to sack now. Oh, that's right, because we can have 4 mana. Phyrexian Tower makes 2. We search up 2 basics. They come in untapped. So we can wish and play the other kind of... We're not going to have a choice now. I believe we played Arena Rector already, right? So we can for Academy Rector.
Okay, so maybe we don't get to see Ugin in play, but I'll also accept maybe something crazy like Omniscience or maybe this is the time we get to see the curses pop off.
I think we'll see definitely. I mean, we're not going to see Omniscience with just a Force of Vigor in hand. So we're looking. That was a brief glance at the sideboard there. I wasn't able to pick up anything there that time, but we're going to see it here now. So Living Wish gets a land or a creature if you're unfamiliar with the card. And we're selecting Academy Rector, it looks like. Probably can't afford the rest of those cards. So Academy Rector comes in. When Academy Rector goes to your graveyard, it exiles. There's a trigger, and you exile it. So it can be countered by Surgical Extraction.
Mm-hmm.
But when it does die, you can search your deck for an enchantment and put it into play. Which is exciting in a deck like this.
Exactly. Hey, I'm going to pop quiz, Joe. Can you tell me the full cycle of wishes?
Maybe. I probably can. Living Wish, we just saw. Burning Wish is the red one. It gets a sorcery for 2 mana. Death Wish is 3 mana in black. It gets anything, and I believe it costs half your life. Cunning Wish is 3 mana. That's the instant one. And let's see, the white one is the white one Golden Wish? No, is that the right name? It costs 5, and it was the one that saw absolutely no play ever.
So the truth is, I have no idea. Maybe somebody in the chat can tell us. I was just trying to see if you could answer the question for me. But Golden Wish is the answer, it turns out. So well done. Okay, all right. That's I'm impressed.
Well, so I have the advantage. So if you had asked me a card that came out 6 years ago, I may not have known. But cards that are that old are when I was first in the game, so I know all of them.
Got you. All right. So.
That was back in the day. I knew all the cards back then. I even knew the set symbols then, and I don't know any of the set symbols for the last 15 years.
Oh yeah, I am so bad when it comes to that sort of stuff. But the wish cycle, I guess we've learned now. What's interesting about this game set is that we didn't actually activate the Phyrexian Tower to sacrifice the Academy Rector. Do you have any idea what might be going through the Nyx Fit player's mind on this?
So I think if we're getting the curse that searches, it triggers on upkeep, so there's no reason to get it early.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, okay. So if the Hogak player had the green force, it could actually, if we got it main phase, it can be killed immediately. If we get it at the end of their turn, you can't pitch cast green force during your own turn. So you'd have to pass the turn, and then at that point, it's already triggering. So I could see some reason to wait.
I see.
Also, you just have a blocker available.
Gotcha. So they had to have the Force of Vigor right then and there. And look at that. On the upkeep, we don't necessarily get to see what's coming, but we know what's coming. It's a overwhelming amount of splendor to shut off all the things. It's kind of, that may have been a premature concession because Force of Vigor would be able to answer, both of those curses.
That's true.
But
it's true. It would have been something if during that end step where the Academy Rector actually got sacrificed, and then Force of Vigor, because there was 4 mana available. Hard cast Force of Vigor, kill the ley line and the curse. That would have been incredible.
Yeah, boom, for sure.
Excuse me. Nyx Fit does take down that game and even up the match. So during that game, Nyx Fit, Patrick won a game, and I think I won a game because I defeated your attempt to stump.
You did. You're 1-0 right now. So I'll see if I can get some other sneaky trivia to get you. But
I don't know what you were thinking trying to get me on that. I don't mind. Okay. So we're going to hit down for game 3 with Hogak on the play, I believe.
Yep. There's one interesting exclusion that I've seen before in these Nyx Fit Rector lists, which is actually the card Cruel Reality. Maybe I'll stumble you here. Do you remember this card? Are you vaguely familiar with it?
That doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, Cruel Reality is just I think it's like a 7 mana permanent. There it is on the screen right now. So at the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. If the player can't, he or she loses 5 life. So this is actually how you convert the Academy Rector / curse package into a kill, leveraging this card specifically. Now I think there might be some hiccups on Magic Online with the card, which is why people are playing other options right now. But this is like the de facto go-to for taking down your enemy. And this is a very powerful card. I've died to this card many, many, many times.
Sure. Okay. See, and again, like that's a card that was probably printed in the last 5 years, and so I don't even know what it is. Okay, so we see, unfortunately for Hogak's side, they're down to 5 cards again, and their opponent kept 7 with a ley line.
This is just the most broken Magic ever, right?
This is going to be tough. We have a curse with Therapy, Wish, Rector, a couple lands. Beautiful.
Yeah, it looks like the only thing we're missing here is mana, but the Living Wish can actually pick up a mana source if we need to, right, from the sideboard?
Yeah. Okay, so 2 Hedron Crabs and a ley line in play, so we'll just mill our opponent because we have nothing else to do and we have to mill somebody. So maybe we'll mill all the relevant enchantments and the game will just end by decking with 40 cards.
I've been targeted. The first time I got targeted by Hedron Crab, I had to pick up the card and look at it. I was so surprised because my Terminus, which I had so sneakily put on top, just got milled to the graveyard, and I was like, oh no, not like this. So Hedron Crab's secretly OP. I confess.
Well, that's just revenge for the time. Like Terminus is just. Ever since that time against Reduke, when you brainstormed, didn't look at the top card of your deck.
Oh no, I knew you'd bring this up.
Yeah, of course I was going to.
That's Terminus's way of saying, you got to get good, son. And it's a learning process. These are the things that I love about Legacy, though, right? Those like minute interactions that you have to experience once, maybe, or if you're just really good at the game, like it'll come to you naturally. But so many ways to play it out. So
yeah. All right, so we have a bunch of milling here. We're not really we're joking about the idea of milling all the relevant cards being decked. That's not, even though that's unrealistic, it could conceivably happen. But we still have the Living Wish to go out of the sideboard, so we're never going to be out of win conditions, even by perfect milling. But it certainly could put a damper on things.
For sure. Let me ask you a question here. So Cabal Therapy is admittedly one of the hardest cards to play in Legacy, especially without Gitaxian Probe.
Sure.
If you were in the Hogak side, what would you name with this Cabal Therapy?
That is tough. You know what? Okay, so what we did name Living Wish, and we're correct. I feel like that's a card I would definitely not name, because if my opponent does have Living Wish, they're going to show me what they're going to get.
Yeah.
So I do feel like I'm not sure that there's a reason that you would cast it on this early in the game, because the Rectors cost more mana. I think you could wait at least 1 or 2 turns before casting it.
Okay.
But then when you do get around to casting it, I would probably name one of the 2 Rectors and hope.
Okay. Yeah, just like take the 50-50 almost.
Two changes things. But yeah, see, I don't like, I feel like even on this one, I assume we're going to name Academy Rector, and I feel like we could have waited a turn here.
Yeah, and so here we kind of see just like the merit of the curse package in this deck as a kill condition. Like this curse is 4 and a black, but compared to the other ones, like this is reasonably castable. Like you just need a couple more turns. You're not really under any pressure here. So it's just a matter of like finding extra lands. Now this deck probably plays around 19 lands, which is kind of on the lower side, but still, oh wow. So that's
see, okay. Now we have succeeded in stripping all the relevant cards out of our opponent's hand, but we're giving the opportunity to top deck things. Like discard spells, always you're vulnerable to the opponent drawing the card that they want after its result, after the next turn. But we're giving more turns than we need. Like if there's a Academy Rector drawn this turn, we could have had it for free, and we didn't. Now that didn't happen, but you're giving up a little bit, I think, by doing that.
Yeah. Okay, so the legendary Veteran Explorer just drawn for the turn. What's interesting here is that we actually don't have black mana to cast this Cabal Therapy, but it's not that pressing because there is one in the graveyard that we can flash back to proc the Veteran Explorer. If you're in the Nixpit, players, from the Nixpit players' perspective, what would you name here? Would you even cast the Cabal Therapy? I
mean, not until you're ready to do something. The other player doesn't even have cards in hand.
Yeah,
so
okay.
We're not worried about anything. At the point where you actually go to do it, I would probably name the Force, because they could be stuck with a green Force in hand and not another green card to be able to cast it. So I would go with Green Force from this side, perhaps from either side, actually. Well, actually, I take that back. The Hogak player doesn't care about that. But okay, well, there's another card that deals with that.
Yeah, looks like we have a game now.
Well, I don't know if we're quite okay. If there are basics to fetch from the Hogak side and they can mill themselves for 8 cards with double crab on board, maybe.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to think now. So from this board position, you're absolutely right. I would love to be in the Veteran Explorer side of things. So I have to wonder then, like, what exactly does the Hogak player need to find in the next few draw steps to have a chance to not get destroyed by the overwhelming splendor?
Well, they needed to have 2 basics in the deck, and they only have 1, so that's too bad. Okay, but we did mill over Bloodghast and Hogak, so that's something.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can't cast Hogak off the Hedron Crabs, unfortunately.
No, we cannot.
But this makes any zombie, like a Stitcher Supplier or a Carrion Feeder, a pretty good draw, right? We can bring back the Grave Crawlers.
Yeah. So our Living Wish, I imagine, based on what just happened, our target will change, and now we'll be interested in maybe getting Containment Priest.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize the Assassin's Trophy did one very critical thing, right? So before we got trophied, we only had access to 6 mana, which means we couldn't have cast the Cabal Therapy this turn. But now that we have that 7th piece of mana, we get to go Living Wish into Academy Rector, into Cabal Therapy. So there's like suddenly no time for the Hogak player to draw whatever they need to draw here.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and get, this is the Rector, so this is the one that gets enchantments.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just roll up we can get a replacement ley line, but there's no way we're doing that, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Would you pick up the Curse of Misfortunes here or the Overwhelming Splendor?
So the Curse of Misfortunes tutors up the other curses. That's correct?
Correct.
I think this is fine. So we're giving them one turn. What could happen in this one turn?
All right. I don't even want to begin to think about that. I mean,
Fetch land is the best draw probably for the Hogak deck.
Okay, because you get to mill 6 cards and get your Bloodghast back?
You get to mill, no, you get a lot more than that because you have 2 Hedron Crabs. So you get to mill 2 sets.
Oh, wow, you're right.
You get the Bloodghast back. So yeah, so that would have been the best draw, I think.
So Carrion Feeder at least gets you Gravecrawler back, and then maybe Hogak, but I don't know if that's going to be good enough.
Yeah, you can get Hogak back, but that doesn't do much. Okay,
maybe we're just sitting on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 1 beatdown plan. But that's also not going to be too good because, you know, when Overwhelming Splendor is near, there's always a Curse of Death's Hold to come after. Right. That's a hard lock, right? You get rid of all the creatures in play.
Well, as long as we anticipate things ahead of time, we can make the Carrion Feeder bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can make the Carrion Figure 1, 2, 3, 4, a 6/6 right now.
Okay.
It would stay that size even with Splendor in play. And then we have a 4-turn clock, and we hope we live. I think that's
the best play from here, right?
Yeah, but we have to do it now. And this is something where if you're not familiar with the matchup, you wouldn't know that you had to do this. And
now, there's one way to next level here, which is to just get the Curse of Death's Hold immediately. Whoa! Oh, man.
Oh, wait, but there's not 2 black.
Oh, my God, that's such a bad... Oh, we've got a game here, Joe!
Oh, my goodness. So... I really feel like, yeah, we should have loaded up the Carrion Feeder there, at least with the jeez. So the Hogak.
I know.
Now we draw the fetch land turn later. Boy, and we get a creature into play. I feel like we could have handled this slightly better, but either way, we're coming in 4/6. We should bounce the Hogak to prevent the damage.
Uh-huh.
Looks like we're gonna miss that.
Just talk about some bad luck here. So, I mean, obviously, like, the way the combo works is you get the Overwhelming Splendor into play first, and then you want to tutor up the Curse of Death's Hold. Once Upon a Time is a pretty solid top deck. It might be able to find us that black source we need to cast the Curse of Death's Hold.
Yeah. It did.
Okay, it does. So we're...
Yeah. So now I think we're done.
There are very few outs from this point onwards. I mean, I'd probably still play it out.
Well, if we draw a force, we can knock them both out at once.
Exactly.
This is, I don't know if I want to feel bad for either of these players, but this is definitely things could have gone a lot differently. That fetch line came a turn earlier, very different outcome. Don't draw a Curse of Death's Hold, different outcome. But really, I would have liked to have seen that Carrion Feeder get significantly larger in response to the trigger. But that's something that, yeah, it's just, if you haven't probably had this specific interaction happen to you, you're maybe not going to think of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the sneaky thing about Curse of Misfortunes, right? Because it doesn't announce what curse it's getting. Right, the curse just comes into play. So
any sort of tutor that puts something into play where it's just there, you can't respond.
Right. So here, I guess we just have to draw a Force of Vigor. And then from the other side of things, this is where I would say like Cruel Reality would be really good here, but due to the issues, it's probably not going to come into play. It's not even in the deck list, actually. So now we just need to find another way to close the game before our opponent finds the Force of Vigor that they're looking for.
Yeah. Which, I mean, could happen. See if we can squint and see how many are actually in the exile pile. I don't see one.
Ugin has actually been exiled, right? So that's actually one win condition that's actually gone from the deck now. Same with Vraska. So actually, I don't even know if there's a Planeswalker for Academy Rector to find anymore.
Oh my goodness. Arena Rector, yeah. That's not going to help.
This is so crazy, Joe. The Hogak player mulligan to 5. If they are actually able to win this game with a series of 6 top decks, I mean, could color me bamboozled. This would be incredible.
This would be something. So yeah, we're basically in a holding pattern here now. The deck that is the massive lead drawing to anything, Living Wish would be totally fine. And the Hogak deck drawing to exactly, probably nothing besides Force of Vigor, which if they draw it, they're going to be in charge of the game right away because they can immediately fetch, bring back Bloodghasts, bring back basically their whole graveyard. And there's no Redirector, and we don't have a way to sacrifice it. Or do we have a Therapy in the graveyard?
I'm not 100% sure. We'll find out soon. Doesn't look like it.
We'll find out right away.
But, I mean, this is a 19-turn win condition, Joe. You just got to believe.
Oh, okay. That's, yeah. Get rid of those. That doesn't matter. We got rid of the Stitcher. That's, let's see. That's fine. Yeah, I agree with that decision. Taking Stitcher makes more sense than taking Vengevine.
Yeah, because Vengevine, I mean, he wants to be in the graveyard of all things. And what's interesting here, too, is we're saying no to the... I guess there are no more curses for us to get. So, okay, Leyline of the Void.
Okay, that's nice. That makes it more likely... It makes it less likely we'll die if our opponent draws a force.
True. So, yeah, it's adding... It's another level of... like another obstacle that the Hogak player will have to jump over to win the game, but it's still not a win condition, right? Because there are two elements of this. The first is not dying, classic control, and then the second is you got to actually win the game.
So I would have liked to see a fetch in response to the Leyline, just to have an extra card in the graveyard, because you're going to need to fetch to cast the Force anyway.
The plot thickens.
Yeah, a pair of them. Yeah, and so Chad is asking, doesn't taking the Vengevine prevent Force being pitch cast? And it does, but the Force can be hard cast from the mana available, so we don't need to worry about that. But yeah, so okay, then we're on, because one of those fetches will have to break, this is technically an 8-turn clock, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me wonder, like, this is like... Oh?
That's at least another couple 1/1s.
Yeah. That's pretty exciting. I don't remember seeing Recruiter of the Guard in the original list that made top 8 one of the Legacy challenges, but, I mean, it makes so much sense, right? You can tutor up whatever it is you're looking for.
Explorer and the Rectors, or in this case, another Recruiter probably, if we have another one.
Let's see. Oh, there are more Rectors, okay.
Okay, a creature with power. They're all equivalent at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was jokingly talking about the Hogak deck just putting a Leyline into play and then just, you know, attacking with a bunch of 1/1s and 2/2s, but it seems like our Nixfit player has very keenly adopted the way of the blade here, and
man, if that Carrion Feeder had been big, I guess
6/6, this game would have been over. You're right. Well, not over, but closer.
The drawing of the Arena Rector would have meant attacking was dangerous, but we would have been sitting here.
Yeah. That's just incredible. And I mean, this is a very powerful combination of cards. Overwhelming Splendor and Curse of Death's Hold.
Yeah. Okay. This should cause something to happen. So I suppose I would still name Force here, even though it would probably get cast in response.
Yeah, I doubt they have it. So
yeah. So that's the trophy makes sense. We did see one already.
But I feel like that would also get cast in response as well, right?
It would, yeah.
The good news is that if we really want to, if any of those cards that we just saw were really threatening enough, we could flash back the Therapy to pick it off. But honestly, I'm kind of just interested in the clock.
There's only 19 cards left in the deck.
Oh, wow. Wait, have we missed it? Is there actually a way for... Is there another way for this deck to win besides the 1/1 beatdowns?
I imagine we'll see right here. There's Nugan.
Okay. There's a second Dugan. Okay, all right.
Is the deck list, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so Eugene will accelerate the clock for sure. Coming into, and I do like taking the Vengevine here for sure because if our opponent does get rid of the Leyline and the curses or what have you, the Vengevine would be the hasty threat that could contribute to a lethal attack or just killing the Ugin.
All right. So I'm sure we had a couple different routes to victory left. And with the Living Wish in the deck still, I mean, there's going to be some way to win. There was never any real question of that.
That's a good point, yeah.
Okay, and that is going to do it. So
that's the concession.
The Ugin takes it down alongside a team of 1 power creatures who couldn't find anything better to do with themselves for surprisingly long time.
I'm so surprised. That match was way more of a nail-biter than I ever expected it to be. I mean, like, there was a lock. The lock was in play, and yet the Hogak player still had some outs. And I mean, this just goes to show you that like these decks are so powerful and incredible and like capable of coming back from nothing. So congrats to the Knicks Fit player for winning. And was the Knicks Fit player undefeated? Do we have any record on that or?
I didn't get standings. I know we'll have. They're 4-1 now. Okay, so
4-1. So they can ID into the top 8 then, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty good. So I guess if chat wants to see more of this special deck, it's there. And
I mean, we've seen a lot of special decks today, though. We've had some good stuff. We had some really neat entrants in the event. I imagine at some point in the future the deck lists are available on MTG Melee or on NRGgaming.com, but we'll let you know about that.
Absolutely.
I don't think that match was long enough. I'm sure there's not a backup, given that we didn't have one previously, and I'm sure we don't now. So thank you guys for sticking around. Looks like we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll be back with Anuraag for round 6. So see you right back.